positive. Now if you have the RMO 1 positive as well, that's great, because that's a very good confirmation to you. Again, it doesn't have to be, but if you had it, that's good. If you trade options, well, again, if you have the RMO 2 plus or the blue line pulling back to 0, that's a good time where you could look at buying call options. So we look at this chart right here, and that will give you an idea. You had the RMO 2, the blue line, positive, and then you have this sudden pullback, which gets it to 0 for just a single bar in this case. And that's a good point, which means when the RMO 2 pulled back to 0, that's a good point where you'd like to go and buy call options. Now notice what's exactly happening in terms of price action is you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of some kind of a down move. And this 6-day down move would mean that the call options have got a lot more interesting because they've got a lot more cheaper. Because when the market's falling down, in all probability, everybody's trying to secure their portfolios by buying puts, and calls are something which you could get at a good price there. Now you could buy maybe just 1 or 2 strike prices above the at the money calls, and that would make things even more cost effective. And I would have, by experience, seen that the options would at least go up by about 200% in terms of option premium. Now in case you're looking at buying puts, this is how you do it. If the RMO 2 in this case is negative and it just pulls back to 0, just like you've seen in these the three last circles over here, these are good points to be buying put options. So you have the RMO 2 minus, which is the red line, pulling back to 0, and that's a good point to be buying puts, because again, you've got the nice 5-day run-ups, the 3-day run-ups, which would make your puts even more cheap, and that's great timing. You know, in just a couple of bars, maybe in just 5 to 15 bars, to give you some kind of a time idea, it would just give you a nice move. So the nicer part is you could even scan for this. You could scan for stocks where the RMO 2 is at 0, and that would mean it would give you some really good signals in terms of the options trading point of view. Or even if you trade just plain long or short strategies, if you know the RMO 2 is at 0, you know probably in the next 10 to 15 bars you're looking at a nice price burst coming out. So when you look at the RMO 2 dual view template, so that's the second template you have associated with the RMO 2. You right click apply template and RMO 2 dual view. That allows you to see the original RMO 1, which was the one which you had in Metastock 10. You see the bar colors, the arrows, the x-axis shading just like you originally had in Metastock 10, and coupled with the RMO 2 indicator. So that's how it would look like. So the blue and the red bars that you see now are coming out of the RMO 1, the original RMO that you had in Metastock 10. Now what's the advantage of having it this way? Well, if you're used to looking at this way, you'd say, okay, I have a sell which is red bar, red arrow, and I look at RMO bearish, that's a good sell. And you look at the RMO 2 bearish, and then you look at the zone detector, and you have a fully confirmed setup to go short. Just like if you saw a blue bar right there, you'd say, okay, blue bar, RMO 2 is also with me, I got the buy arrow much before there, but zone detector is dormant and I don't want to take a chance on this trade. So it gives you a nice confirmed view, RMO 1, 2, as well as zone detector, zone fill. So if your eyes are used to looking at it this way, I think it's a great way to start off. Now the advantage of looking at the dual view again is something like this. If you have, let's say over here, a blue bar, which would mean that you got the swing trade 2 positive, you've got the buy arrow, but in this case now you see, oh, the RMO 1 is bearish, and despite the RMO 2 going up, we're not going to take this trade because we're again in dormant mode. So it gives you this one view which allows you to zero down as to what's a good trade and what's a trade that you don't want to be taking. So again, you have blue bar, RMO 2 positive, but again, what's the problem? You've got RMO 1 negative. So it's a nice confirmed way of looking at things. So if you're trying to trade the bigger trends, and the RMO 1 2 would just make things much more powerful, and even the zone detector along with it would help you avoid the bad trades which you'd see in sideways mode. I think I'd love using something like the zone detector because it just saves you from so many of those bad trades. Just to give you one quick example, red bar, sell arrow, RMO 2 bearish, RMO 1 bearish. I mean, you think you're just going to go short right there, but look at what's happening. You're in dormant mode. And thank God we didn't go short right there, because you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, close to about 10 bars, which just kind of would have got you very frustrated because just time eroded and you'd probably get stopped out on that trade. So there you go. The zone detector is going to save you from a lot of these choppy, rough situations and keep you focused on stocks which you could expect a nice move, and not stocks which are really going to be sideways and range bound. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, the zone detector could be used with just about any indicator or strategy that you're probably already using and you like. Now, the nice cool thing about the RMO 2 is you have pretty good commentary. You've got if you just go to the expert advisor, you have the ATM RMO 2 and you hit commentary, and this would pretty much give it to you in a nice way that the breakout catcher is bearish, the zone detector suggests that you're in an active mode, the RMO 2 is bearish, the RMO 1 is bearish, and you also get things like the 200-day moving averages. So you could see we're closing below both of them. That gives you a very clear signal that this is not a stock where you want to be going long on, and this is a stock where you need to focus on where to go shorts, put on shorts. So this is a nice way to do your analysis in virtually no time. Hit commentary, and this is just studied about everything you can think of. So breakout catcher, zone detector, zone fill, RMO 2, the 200-day averages, the RMO 1 which you had with Metastock 10. So all of that put together in this one neat commentary would make things pretty simple for you to get a quick decision, to make a quick decision right there. Now let's get into the explorations. The explorations, as I was mentioning, you could pretty much explore anything right there. So if you're looking for a breakout catcher buy or a counter trend buy, you could go to the Explorer. There you go, click on ATM breakout catcher buy, hit explore, select the stocks you want to explore, and in just a couple of seconds you have the results listed out. So like you see over here, these are my results for breakout catcher buys, the closing price of these stocks, volume, and you could even sort for high volume. So just click on the volume tab right there and it would organize the stocks with high or low volume in ascending or descending order. So that's a good way to find it. And you'd also know the 1 and the 0 that you see over there. That tells you whether the zone detector is in active mode or not. So we'd like stocks which have the value of 1. So maybe I'm not going to look at this one because we've got a value of 0, but I'm probably going to look at all the others because the zone detector is in active mode. So that way you've got a hot list where you could just work with, maybe look at the chart for a couple of signals and go ahead, put on the trades. Now there you go. So that's what you'd find. So blue bar, active mode, and we got that in the exploration list right there. So that gives you an idea of the RMO ATM. And one quick thing before I kind of wind up, there's a very nice exploration which I haven't done in this presentation. It's called the RMO integrated buy or sell setup, and that would really get you signals where if you've been using the RMO 1, which is with Metastock 10 originally, you could get signals where you have a blue bar, a buy arrow, and at the same time the RMO 1 positive, and of course if the zone detector is also positive. So if you have everything put together, you have you just get a list with everything put together. So if you have an integrated buy, which means you have a 3-dimensional buy, or for that matter an integrated sell, which would mean a red bar, red arrow, RMO negative, that would just get listed out. So this was not there earlier in Metastock 10, but I think this new plugin gives you the ability to find stocks which hit the perfect RMO criteria. So pricing information is up there. And folks, if you have any questions, feel free to call Equus. The number's up on your screen, or feel free to email us. Thank you again. I appreciate your joining me again in this presentation, and I wish you the very best. Thank you.